Jimmy Hoffa vanished. That happened on July 30th, 1975. He was supposed to meet some people. He went to a restaurant. It was called the Montrose Red Fox. This was in Bloomfield Township, Michigan. That Hoffa waited for them, but they never showed up, and Hoffa was never seen again. This disappearance is still a huge mystery. Many things are not clear about that day. One of the biggest puzzles is about a woman. People call her the Blonde Woman. She might have been there that day. Some people say they saw her. She was with Hoffa. Or maybe she was just near him. Her presence makes the whole story more confusing. And it makes it more interesting, too. Who was this blonde woman? What was she doing there? Did she know what was going to happen, or was she just someone in the wrong place at the wrong time? We don't know the answers, and that's part of the mystery. The story goes like this. Jimmy Hoffa drove himself to the restaurant. He arrived in his green Pontiac Granville. He got there in the afternoon. It was around 2 p.m. He was meeting mob figures. At least, that's what he thought. He told his family about the meeting. He also told other people. He was going to meet Anthony Tony Pro Provenzano, and he was meeting Anthony Tony Jack Giacalone. Both were powerful mobsters. Hoffa had problems with them. He wanted to sort things out. He hoped this meeting would help. Hoffa waited. He waited inside the restaurant, and he waited in the parking lot. He made a few phone calls. He called his wife. He called his assistant. He sounded annoyed. The men he was meeting were late. Or maybe they weren't coming at all. That's what Hoffa seemed to think. He was getting frustrated. He mentioned that this was the last time anyone heard from him. After these calls, he was gone. But some witnesses said they saw more. They said they saw Hoffa get into a car. It wasn't his car, it was a maroon Mercury. Or maybe it was a red car. The exact color is not always clear in witness accounts. And who was in this car? Some people said there were men in it. These men were known mob associates. That part of the story usually gets a lot of attention. But then there's the other detail. The one about the blonde woman. This detail pops up in a few places. It makes things very complicated. It adds a new layer to the mystery. Some people say she was with Hoffa, others say she was just seen at the restaurant. This is where the story gets really blurry and it gets hard to know what's real. One account talks about a woman in a car. This car was with Hoffa's car. Or maybe it was just seen near it. The woman was described as blonde. She was well dressed. She was in her 30s or 40s. Some people thought she was with the group. Or maybe she was just an innocent bystander. It's really hard to say. The witnesses were not always sure, and memories can change over time, especially for something that happened so long ago, and something so shocking. So, who saw her? There were people at the restaurant, staff, other customers. They might have seen things, but they didn't know the importance of what they saw. Not at first. They didn't know Hoffa would disappear, so they weren't paying close attention. Not in a way that would help police later. This is a common problem in big cases. People just go about their day. They don't know they are seeing history, or seeing a crime happen. The idea of the blonde woman became part of the Hoffa legend. It was a detail that stuck. But it was also a detail that led nowhere. Police looked into everything. They looked for Hoffa. They looked for the people he was supposed to meet, and they looked for any other clues. But the blonde woman remained just that. A detail. A fleeting image. No name. No confirmed identity. What if she was real? What if she was there? Her presence changes things. It adds a different element. If she was a companion, who was she? Was she someone Hoffa knew? Was she a friend? A lover? That would be a huge surprise. Hoffa was a very public figure, but his private life was not as well known. If she was with him, she might have seen everything. She would be the final witness. She would know what happened after his last phone call. But why would she be there? Hoffa was meeting mobsters. That's a dangerous situation. It's not a place you usually bring a casual companion, unless she was part of it. What if she was a setup? What if she was a distraction? Or what if she was someone meant to keep Hoffa calm? These are all just guesses. They are just theories. And there is no proof for any of them. And what if she wasn't a companion at all? What if she was just a regular person? Someone eating lunch at the Montrose Red Fox, someone who happened to be blonde, someone who happened to be noticed. But she had nothing to do with Hoffa. She was just there by chance. And then her image got caught up in the big story. This happens too. Details get mixed up. People make connections that aren't there, especially when a big mystery unfolds. The police investigations were extensive. They interviewed hundreds of people. They followed many leads. They dug up many places. They searched for a body. And they looked for anyone who saw anything. The blonde woman did come up, but she was never a strong lead. She was never identified, and her role, if any, was never figured out. It just remained a rumor. A piece of the puzzle that didn't fit anywhere. Or maybe it fit too perfectly, and that's why it was so suspicious. Think about the time, the 1970s. Information was not instant. There were no cell phones. No security cameras everywhere. Eyewitness accounts were crucial, but they were also often unreliable. People saw things differently. They remembered things differently, especially under stress, or when asked to recall things weeks or months later. This is a big challenge for police, and it's a big challenge for historians. The description of the blonde woman was always vague. She was blonde, she was well-dressed, she was middle-aged. That describes a lot of people. It doesn't narrow it down much. No specific facial features, no clear clothing details. Just a general impression. This made it very hard to look for her. It was like looking for a needle in a haystack. A very big haystack. Some theories suggested she might have been a female mob associate. The mafia world was mostly men, but there were women involved sometimes. They had different roles. Maybe she was a messenger, maybe she was a lookout, or maybe she was even an enforcer. But this is highly speculative. There's no real evidence. Just the idea that she might have been more than she seemed, if she was even there at all. Another idea was that she was a decoy, a way to make Hoffa feel safe, to make him think he wasn't walking into a trap. A woman's presence can change the mood. It can make a situation seem less threatening, more casual. Maybe she was there to put him at ease, or to make him lower his guard. And then, once his guard was down, they could do what they wanted. This is a dark theory, and it assumes a lot of planning. What if she was a victim too? What if she was with Hoffa, and then she also disappeared, but no one reported a missing blonde woman? Not related to the Hoffa case, so that theory doesn't hold up. She would have had a family, friends. Someone would have noticed if she vanished with Hoffa. So if she was real, she probably wasn't a victim in the same way Hoffa was. The Makus Red Fox restaurant was a public place. Many people went there. It was a popular spot. So lots of people were coming and going. It's easy for someone to be there. And then to leave without being noticed too much. The fact that she was mentioned at all is a bit unusual. That means someone must have noticed her. More than just a fleeting glance. The legend of the blonde woman has grown over the years. It's one of those tantalizing details. It makes you wonder. It makes you think about all the possibilities. What if she's still out there? What if she's an old woman now, and she knows what happened? But she's too scared to talk. Or maybe she just doesn't want to get involved. Or maybe she genuinely doesn't remember. Or maybe she never existed at all. These are all possibilities, and none of them can be proven right now. The FBI spent years on the Hoffa case. They poured resources into it, they interviewed everyone they could, they used all their tools. And they never came up with a solid answer. Not for Hoffa's fate. And certainly not for the blonde woman. She remains a phantom. A shadowy figure in a very dark story. Sometimes in big investigations, a detail gets exaggerated. Or misinterpreted. A blonde woman was seen. Someone said she was with Hoffa. Then that story got repeated, and it became part of the narrative, even if it wasn't quite accurate. This is how urban legends start, and the Hoffa disappearance is full of urban legends, full of rumors, full of speculation. The very idea of a final witness implies she saw something important, something critical, something that would solve the case, but she never came forward. If she was a regular person, why not? Fear, intimidation, or perhaps she didn't see anything. Perhaps she just happened to be near Hoffa, and people made a big deal out of it later, after the fact, when everyone was looking for clues and trying to make sense of a senseless event. Let's think about the timeline of that day. Hoffa made those phone calls, he talked about being stood up. He left the restaurant around 2:30 p.m., or maybe a bit later. The exact timing is also a bit fuzzy. Did the blonde woman enter the car with him? Or was she in a car that followed his? Or a car that led his? The accounts are very inconsistent. This makes it hard to use this detail. It makes it hard to build a solid case around it. Some theories suggest the car Hoffa got into was driven by Chucky O'Brien. Chucky O'Brien was Hoffa's foster son. He was also connected to the mob. He always denied being there. He always denied driving Hoffa away. But many people thought he was involved. If O'Brien was driving, would there have been a blonde woman with him? It seems unlikely, unless she was connected to O'Brien, or to the other men in the car. The maroon Mercury, was also a focus of the investigation. It was identified, it was processed for evidence, but no major breakthroughs came from it. No blonde hair samples, no specific DNA that pointed to an unknown woman, at least nothing that was publicly disclosed. This also weakens the idea of her being a critical witness. If she was in the car, she left no trace. Or no trace that police could use. This whole thing adds to the frustrating nature of the Hoffa case. So many small details, so many conflicting accounts, so many dead ends, and the blonde woman is a perfect example of it. She's a tantalizing thread, but a thread that leads nowhere. A ghost in the machinery of a crime. The media loved the mystery of the blonde woman. It added a touch of intrigue, a touch of glamour, to an otherwise brutal mob story. It made for good headlines. It made people talk, but it didn't help solve anything. It just deepened the enigma. And it made the whole disappearance even more baffling. We have to remember how investigations work. As police get a lot of information, some of it is good, some of it is bad, some of it is just noise. They have to sift through it all. They have to find the real clues. The blonde woman detail might have been noise. It might have been a false lead. Or it might have been a critical piece of information that was never properly understood. It's impossible to know now. The enduring fascination with Hoffa's disappearance is powerful. It's a true American mystery, and the blonde woman is a part of that. She represents the unknown. The unanswered questions, the things we can't quite grasp. She's a symbol of all the missing pieces. All the hidden truths, all the things that went unsaid, or unseen, or were simply forgotten. So when people talk about Jimmy Hoffa's last day, they often mention the car. They mention the meeting, they mention the mobsters, but sometimes they also mention the blonde woman. And she stands as a silent question mark, a reminder that we don't know the full story. We don't know who she was, we don't know if she was even there. But her image, however vague, persists. It hangs in the air around the Machu's Red Fox, a ghost of a detail. A final, elusive witness to a moment that changed history. Or at least changed Hoffa's history. Forever. Without a trace, and without a solid answer for who she was, or what she knew. And that's really all we know about her. Nothing much. And everything because her presence, or supposed presence, speaks volumes about the confusion and the sheer lack of clarity surrounding that fateful day in 1975.